Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've covered most of the books for this week, and now it's on to this week's Avengers titles and Miscellaneous DC books, starting with Captain America Iron Man, number 1. Since we still don't have a regular ongoing Captain America title, which I kind of figure is partially just kind of a Marvel trying to, maybe just reading over pitch, trying to find the right pitch. That would be my guess. I'm sure there have been plenty of writers, both currently working at Marvel or working at other companies, who have said, sent in submitted pitches, say, hey, I got a Cap pitch, but nothing that feels right. Maybe even points of, well, okay, this sounds interesting, but it's gonna have to work along with these following, certain storylines. Like, oh, I'm not sure it would work with it in that context. So, who knows though? Hopefully, we'll be getting a new Cap solo book sometime soon. I hope. I really do hope. Anyway, kicking things off, the book begins with a flashback to years ago. Tony Stark having just spent the night with a lovely young lady, and she had a proposal. An interface which she attempted to compensate for the Eigenvalue discrepancy by hijacking the Star Trek subroutine. Her team came up with it, and Tony explains that the approach that her team has taken is already outdated, as Stark Industries was doing stuff like that 6 months ago. Turns out this young lady is Veronica Eden, who would go on to make an attempt at becoming Supreme Hydra recently in the Falcon and Winter Soldier miniseries. So, and when we cut to now, she's being arraigned for her crimes and pleads guilty, and she says, let's do this. But the further transport carrying her is attacked by by a powered assailant, so Iron Man goes to stop it, and it turns out to be 51 from the 50 State Initiative. Apparently, since the fall of the Initiative, 51 is wanted by authorities in Minneapolis for killing 3 people. Of course, there's also a Hydra team there to try and rescue Veronica. But Iron Man's not the only hero nearby, as Captain America shows up. They do what they can to take down, to prevent the escape of Veronica Eden, but she does manage to get away. Also, Iron Man saves a bus full of senior citizens who are much more impressed with Captain America than him. Iron Man briefly explains the situation between him and Veronica, their past, to Cap, and it turns out that he also got her in the door at S.H.I.E.L.D., got her a job at S.H.I.E.L.D. And so he's basically wanting to make sure that her affiliation with Hydra occurred after that, not before, because, well, then otherwise he would feel responsible. Elsewhere, however, Veronica Eden is discussing compensating compensating 51, but there's no the translator. If he had a translator, it's no longer working. But he's got a phone, so he can at least show her what it is he wants. And apparently whatever it is he wants is no problem. However, they're promptly attacked by the Paladins. Pioneer, Vox, Prima Donna, and Think Tank. Former members of the 50th State Initiative, who after the initiative was disbanded, opted to become heroes on their own. Veronica tries to stop things when Cap and Iron Man show up. Of course, fight breaks out. Cap and Iron Man team up, work with the Paladins and manage to take down the foot soldiers, but 51 and Eden have escaped, and Veronica have escaped. And that is where the issue ends. It's an interesting kickoff. I'm not surprised that once again Tony's libido comes back to bite him in the ass. The fun point was Tony trying to explain things a little by saying he was in his long-haired stubble phase, and Cap kind of countered by saying you're still in your long-haired stubble phase, which Iron Man states he liked that phase. But yeah. Anyway, like I said, it's an interesting book. It's for the moment. I guess it'll have to fill the gap in there not being an ongoing Captain America solo title, but fingers crossed we get a new one soon. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Crush and Lobo, number 7. Where we left off, time was running out for Crush. She was trying to find her father on Space Vegas, which, I mean, it's Vegas in space. Really. And, yeah. So we begin with her going into just what it is Lobo's been up to. And, he's been baking cookies for charity. He's been volunteering at intergalactic animal shelters. Not. No, he's just being the worst. Hot tub and all. And making enemies. He escapes from his hotel room and runs right into Crush, who leads him on a merry chase through. Who leads her as well. Who he leads on a merry chase throughout Space Vegas. Oh, yeah, he also leads a bunch of guys that want to kill him on said chase as well. Part of which Lobo is naked. And yes, the artist did a very amusing job of putting objects in just the right spot to make sure that this book did not have to be a Black Label title. Crush has the coffeeologist from earlier literally thrown in her face by Lobo. She borrowed the showgirl's outfit. Lobo also appropriates some clothes and finds a scooter and opts to grab it. Only the showgirl who belongs to turns out to be Crush in disguise. They continue to fight, basically ruining things for everyone they come across. And that said, though, she's got backup. The Space Lizards, whose bite includes whose venom includes a tranquilizer element, which knocks Lobo on his ass. So she chains up Lobo and heads back to the jail. She doesn't have much time. She's got about 7 minutes to go, and she arrives with 20 seconds. She explains she got Lobo. Let her in. The gate is open just as the countdown hits 0. Because of course she's not going to die. She was narrating the whole thing. So she's intellectual property. But when it's revealed that she is referred to by the president as test subject 2981 or 2981B, Yeah, she may be an intellectual property, but she's not the most intelligent one. As she's tranked and taken away, while Lobo is strapped to a gurney or a dolly, and also presumably taken away. And that is where the issue ends. This has honestly been a really fun series. I've been digging the hell out of it. I'd never read anything with Crush in it previously. I'd heard of the character. I was like, okay, all right. You know, teenage female Lobo probably has the same attitude, which yeah, but actually not trying to be a dick about things, basically, which is kind of nice. But Lobo had at the height of his popularity in the '90s. He fit then. Now, and it was easy to write him, you know, be his very off-center moral compass was easier to digest. It's not so much easier anymore, I think. So, you know, or at least if there's DC figures. So, you know, return to being the villain he initially appeared as. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Star Squadron #1. So you know how Blue and Gold's kind of had that thing going where Booster and Beale are kind of doing a Heroes for Hire type thing? Well, there's another group doing the same thing. So the issue begins with their ad. So, you know, people are born a hero. We get images of Batman, Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Hawkman, Green Lantern. And then we get the Heroes for You storefront. And the hero opportunities that they offer. You know, doing cameos, security work, birthday parties, promotional events, telemarketing, so on and so forth. It should also be noted that the ad does also have a disclaimer at the bottom: not an escort service. Presumably, as the images are being shown of Black Condor, who, yeah, I could definitely understand putting that disclaimer on the ad. But at Metropolis County Hospital, a couple of orderlies are helping a patient and showing him the ad, wondering if it jogs his memory at all. And somebody says, "Evildoers beware." But Red Tornado is having his lunch when Minuteman shows up. Apparently he's just not getting gigs. Doesn't understand why. And Red Tornado looks at his ratings, and he's got a 1.5 stars. And he explains to the Minuteman it's hard to place a hero whose power only lasts 1 minute. And so Tornado suggests that just picks some low-hanging fruit for a while. Take some mall appearances, get the ratings up. Things will turn around. And Minuteman asks why Red Tornado got into heroing, why anyone did. It's a flashback to Red Tornado fighting the Royal Flush Gang alongside Superman. But turns out that he got billed for the building he destroyed, and well, that's what defeated him. But Red Tornado was called outside by Power Girl, the patient from Metropolis County Hospital, is outside. He was dropped off in a cab. That's his name and where he lives, and he doesn't remember. So Red Tornado, opts to take care of things. Takes him back to his own place to get some clothes. Looks him up. He's finally got a name. Apparently, it's Gangbuster. We get a little brief history of Gangbuster, And while Red Tornado's wife is finding some clothes, he sees a picture of a bloodied ace of the Royal Flush Gang, and has a flashback to himself getting beaten up and a box knife being taken across his face about like here. Has a bit of a break, but is promptly realizes what he did was wrong, and Red Tornado says he's going to try and help the guy. Here's for you. We see some of the other members of the team. GI Robot, the Heckler, the Flying Fox, and Heckler asks Power Girl what she's doing there. I mean, she's a Kryptonian. She's got like powers. And apparently it's all because of Max Lord's book, Realize the Prize. 9 Ways to Take What's Yours. Kind of, sure, she's defeated villains, but they always come back, and they're always bigger and badder. Hell, Lex is personally utilized as the villain, and she fights Lex in his battle suit. Then we see LexCorp, Lextel, Lex Mex, Lex News, Lex Flix. But she gives this whole spiel about the book, and as she leaves, Flying Fox asks what that was all about, and Hector kind of explains that he doesn't know something about the self-serving logic of power, and he wasn't listening. But he also stated that it does sound a bit like a smart cult. But later on the other side of town, Red Tornado's helping Gangbuster. Takes him to apparently his last known address. Asks the woman there if she had any information about who used to live there. She doesn't, but Red Tornado gives her his card. If she'd had to talk to a realtor and find out anything, let him know. And two of them get back in the Red Tornado's car and head back to the office, where there's a room set up in case someone needs to crash. Fold out bed, pulled out sofa, Turns out though that technically this is still Gangbuster's house, and the woman who turned him and Red Tornado away as they leave breaks down by the window and cries in front of a wall of pictures of Gangbuster in and out of costume. But at the corporate headquarters, Power Girl is talking with the board and expressing some concerns about Red Tornado. Maybe it's just something wrong with this programming, but she thinks it's time for a change in leadership. It's time for the business to be led by someone who understands how business works. So the board asked her to keep an eye on him and keep them informed, which of course she says that they can count on her, and that is where the issue ends. I didn't expect this to be so full of gut punches, but damn, that was, I was expecting something was going to have, there's going to just, basically be constant, look at the zealous superhero failing at a simple superhero task kind of thing. But no, it's so much more than that. I love it. It's actually a really good book, at least so far. Oh, yeah, I just, oof. Yeah. And, yeah, the whole Max Lord thing does sound like a friggin' cult thing like that. Remember that book, The Secret, a while back? How everyone was like, oh, The Secret, The Secret. Yeah, I guess it's something like that, just amped up. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Dark Knights of Steel, #2. So, where we left off, in this alternate medieval era, when Krypton was destroyed, instead of baby Kal-El escaping, with him was also Jor-El and Lana. And they arrived on Earth. And, basically took a patch of land and claimed it as theirs. Of course, around the same time, a young young mystic by the name of John Constantine had a vision and spouted off a prophecy that basically said that the ill tidings. There would be ill tidings. Their arrival was an ill omen, basically. And as time has gone on, Bruce Wayne is also the Dark Knight of the House of El. And there are those trying who they are aware they have enemies, such as the Green Man and the Green Archer. And as Jor-El informs Bruce of the truth behind his parentage, he's actually half Kryptonian and half human. The Green Archer fires an arrow which has its speed boosted by the Green Man's ring. Which kills Jor-El. Also of note, the court jester at the House of El is none other than Harley Quinn. But so the issue begins right where the last one ended, with Bruce having learned of his heritage and seeing his again his father dead. Lets off heat vision blast into the sky and screams. Lana finds Jor-El. Superman is there as well, or Clark sees this as well. And so Bruce and Alfred go after the assailant, with Bruce stopping an arrow which would have killed Alfred. And Bruce also slices off Oliver's left arm from about the elbow down. Alfred's able to save his hand from killing him, and Bruce explains he had no intention of killing Oliver. After all, he can't get interest from a corpse. The Green Man shows up in a kingdom of storms, informs Constantine that the deed is done. Jor-El is dead. Constantine asks of Oliver, and apparently the Green Man's ring said to leave Oliver. Well, you can't argue with jewelry. Meanwhile, the children of the House of Storms are practicing their abilities. Anissa seems to have mastered the thunder, Jennifer the lightning, and Jacob the rain. That apparently there hasn't been a Pierce to master the rains in generations. But Constantine's beginning to question, is questioning whether or not what if his prophecy's off? What if it's been misinterpreted? What if, killing Jor-El was not a good thing? They seem to be good people. But Jefferson points out that all magic users within their kingdom have disappeared. That can't be good. In the Kingdom of El, General Waller is advising for war. Plain and simple. Harley makes a very valid point that wars are dumb. But, well, I mean, I'm sorry, but by and large, they kind of, at least of late, they kind of have been. But they are. Alfred also makes an impassioned plea to not send young men to their deaths, having been the last survivor of war himself. After all, a war between the Kingdom of Storms and the House of El will not be confined to those borders. And so, on Amazon Island, a ship arrives and Lois gets off, tells some news to Hippolyta, then goes to find Diana, who is training Zala El, the daughter of Jor-El and Lana. And so Lois must break the news to her about her father's death. Diana tells Zala that, when Zala says she has to go, Diana offers her condolences, and tells her, whatever you need, I'm here. They share a kiss, and Zala flies off. And when Diana asks if it was Pierce, Lois explains that it's not certain, but it looks that way. He's the likely suspect. That'll mean that if Pierce was behind it, then it will mean that everything they've worked to prevent ever since the prophecy was written down will come to pass. A war against gods. Back at the castle at Castle El, Bruce and Harley's trying to convince Bruce that this is not a good. Everything that's happening is not good. But he's going to question Oliver. But Bruce suggests that Harley leave them, or tells Harley to leave them. And she is employed to advise, but he says she's only employed to juggle. And she states that she can do both. She can, you can watch her juggle while giving advice. And she does so, telling him that he should lose the ears on his helmet. They don't make him look scary. They make her want to pet him and give him treats. And we see some of those in the those in the dungeons. We have a speedster, looks to be Barry. King Shark. Detective Chimp. And as they're passing by all of these people in the cells, Harley points out that it's kind of creepy keeping people in there without having actually committed a crime. Actually a bit crappy, which Detective Chimp states she's true about. But Clark is already questioning Oliver. Who states that Jor-El was a monster, Clark's not a man, this monsters pretended to be men. But hearing that, it actually does calm Clark down a bit. He's not going to kill Oliver. He's not going to be what Oliver thinks he is. That night, there's at the Castle of Storms, King Jefferson is woken by a loud noise. Initially figuring it to be his daughter Anissa, but it wasn't her. He rushes down and finds that Zala has attacked and has his son by the throat. She flies up. Jefferson tells her to put Jacob down. She says that's the idea. As she drops him. He falls to his death. King Jefferson blasts her with some lightning, and she simply says it tickles before flying off. And that is where the issue ends. Seriously, I'm loving this. I wish I'd gotten on the Tom Taylor train like years ago, because holy shit, if I knew if I had known, I'd been reading stuff for years. Which reminds me, I gotta track down. I gotta get the all-new Wolverine omnibus. I've got to do that. Anyway, moving on to our last book for the week, Justice League Infinity, number 6. So where we left off here, the dimensional displaced members of the League, as well as other dimensional Justice League members, arrived in the Room of Mirrors. The issue is narrated by Green Lantern, as he tries to explain. So he says there was a place called the Mirrored Room. Only it wasn't really a room. It was a space between realities. The spoke on which the wheel of all universes turned, and was breaking apart. Superman, Wonder Woman, and their Earth D counterparts in the Justice Alliance had come to try and repair the damage. As their javelin emerged from the interdimensional vortex, it became clear that however dire the situation seemed, it was worse. And so they see everything that's going on, and John Stewart comes to and uses his brain to explain what happened. They found a Mazo. Mazo explained what had been going on. Jean said this is likely the source of all the of everything that's been going on, dimensional overlaps and whatnot. But and there is an entity beyond this, a very powerful entity which should not be freed. But Overman, who had been brought with them, League, and well, yeah, the creature busts through, and it turns out to be another Amazo. Takes down the League real quick. On his Earth, stories were similar to Amazo's, only there was no Justice League to help him. And so he exterminated all life on that Earth and went into the stars to find a place he accepted. No one did, and so he just kept on exterminating worlds, but one world pushed back. Apocalypse. The dark side of this reality was similar to the dark side that Diana had met a few issues previously. He had found the anti-life equation, and he hid it. But he tried to use it against Amazo, and much like that other dark side, the anti-life equation was kind of sentient and bonded with Amazo, making him even more powerful. And so that reality was destroyed, and so Amazo means to continue to do so. Overman had promptly sided with Amazo. The combined forces of the Justice League and the Justice Alliance take on Amazo and Overman and lose. However, the two Martian Manhunters are watching everything happen, and something seems off to them. And they figure out what it is. The attack on the League and the Alliance isn't happening. This other Amazo is making them think it's all happening. Amazo tries to talk to his to the other Amazo, and discard the anti-life. It's warped you, corrupted you. But no. And so Amazo, the evil Amazo, takes the Justice League Amazo and absorbs him. And begins to set forth his plan to destroy all of creation by unleashing anti-life upon it all. And that is where the issue ends. Some neat things in here. During the when the evil Amazo is making everyone see this massive battle going on, he grabs Shire and rips her wings off and kills her, which causes John to realize that, he still loves her and always has, and likely always will. And Vixen saw that too, so yeah. There's probably going to be some that will likely be discussed near the end. But yeah, Infinity's been a fun ride. I'm loving the alternate Justice League, the Justice Alliance. It's real neat. But anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.